In yoga, any food that we cook, if it is more than 1.5 hours after it came off the stove, we won't eat it. I don't have to know the timing when it was cooked. If it appears in front of me, if I just look at it or place my hands on it, I know whether to eat it or not eat it, because body is sensitive to these things. This is the most sophisticated mechanism on the planet, that's what I think. So what do you think, sir?
No, I agree.
This is the supercomputer, this is a supercomputer. This is the motherboard for all the supercomputers, isn't it?
It is.
So, such an sensitive instrument you have, but you can't feel anything. This is because we don't know how to manage our cerebral activity, it's going crazy. Because we're talking about gut, we can use this word, this is a mental diarrhea which is going on. When there is diarrhea, you can't enjoy food. Similarly, when there is mental diarrhea, your abilities of the mind will come down significantly. Will it happen in terms of loss of memory? Will it happen in terms of loss of other faculties? Will it happen in terms of loss of discrimination? This is happening to people and people think it's normal. Let me tell you my life's example. My great-grandmother lived to be 113, 113 years of age. She is married to a very rich, wealthy man. And you know, those days in India, these are called landlords, they have large amount of land and they're into a very large business activity and all this. After her husband died when she's 68 years of age, she moved out of the house and built a small temple for herself, not for a god, for herself. You must understand, these are Indian women. This is an Indian woman, she builds a temple for herself. No other deity, she goes and sits there. Built with her own hand a small little temple. And people gather to meet her because people think she has solutions, and she had. So, I'm just a little boy at that time and we all go to our native place during the summer vacations only. 35 to 40 days is what I get to spend in that town, otherwise we are all living in cities. So when I go there, and we are about 36 of us children, between the age groups of 3 to 20, all cousins, cousin brothers and sisters, a whole bunch living in various parts of the country, all coming down for the summer. So at that time, because children are there, she would come. By then, she was 100 plus. Like this ramrod straight, she is. And from the farm, from her temple, she walks home, which is about 2.5 kilometer walk. And she walks, spends the day with us and everything. And she lives a certain life. There is another dimension to her life, let's not go there. In terms of food, I'm saying. If you give her breakfast, first thing is, she will take it and feed the ants, she'll feed the squirrels, she'll feed the sparrows. More than half will be gone to this. And some days she will eat the remaining. Some days she simply sits there watching them eating and tears will be… she'll have tears flowing out of her eyes. So, some self-appointed advisors are always there, even I have them around me. They go and say, "Hey, you old woman, you will die like this without eating." She will just laugh and sit there. All these advisors died. She went on living. And when she was 14 years of age, she got married. In India, the culture is such, an unmarried woman cannot smoke. Once she gets married, it's her choice. If she wants to smoke, she can smoke. So she exercises choice on day one. So, I've seen her smoking the bidis, you know, it's pure tobacco leaf, just like that, nothing else, just the leaf itself, the outer thing itself is tobacco leaf. She will smoke it with inside, the fire inside, like that, not outside. Every day she smoked and every day she chewed tobacco. At the age of 111, she got throat cancer. She simply said. She made her own liquid, till the last day she was cooking for herself. With her own hands, she makes a little bit of liquid diet and slowly sips it in and simply sits there. No hospital, no painkiller, no doctor, simply sat there. About maybe 15 to 18 months, something like that, she suffered enormous pain, but she didn't say a word. And she died at 113. I'm saying, till the last day, she's as sharp as anybody, okay? This is very much possible for every human being, it's just how you keep yourself. Now we are thinking, if you're 50, blood pressure is normal, if you're 60, loss of memory is normal, what is this? This is not the way human body is made. This is made in such a way, as long as you live, all these things can work. No spectacles, she would read.
Yeah.
At what… when I have seen her at 105, 106, at that age she sits and reads without spectacles.
No, I mean, there's very good evidence for what you said, scientific evidence that, the brain does not naturally age. I mean, there's some functions that slow down, but these concepts that high blood pressure and high lipids and brain degeneration are all normal phenomena that come with, at age 60 or 70, and that we have to expect this avalanche of people with Alzheimer's disease just because we're aging. So this is the logic right now.
In my understanding, only motor skills can come down with age, that is understandable. It's not necessary for anything else to come down. Your physical agility may not be the same, that's okay.
Yeah, so this is concept about the health span, that really this should really be the goal, to reestablish the normal health span of individuals, not the longevity, but longevity in a healthy state. But that's not what our economic model is based on. The pharmaceutical industry obviously loves these diseases that kick in at age 60 or 50 and then go on till the rest of their life. One thing I'm always fascinated by, whenever I'm a visiting professor, I compare the size of the medical center that I've been invited to over several years or decades, and they're all growing. They keep growing. So you would think that's not a necessary. That's really not. What's the reason for that? It's because we don't deal with the root cause of the problem.
Yes. See, the thing is, we start commercial activity initially to serve humanity. But slowly, this economic engine has become so large that human beings are the fuel. We have to burn ourselves to somehow keep the economic engine going. This is a complex thing, this is not just any one aspect of this overall approach. We have forgotten that commercial activity is for human well-being. Having said that, let's not simply waste time and talking about things that we can't change. Where can we change? I feel if we can, if it is possible somehow, which we are attempting through these conferences and various things, if we can bring the attention of qualified medical professionals. There are many systems of medicine in the world, but in today's world, because of their inability to organize themselves, they are all just fringe. If all the alternate systems of medicine are put together, I don't know if it is even accounts to 2%, I don't know the stat, I'm just guessing. It may be 2% or less. So essentially, it is the allopathic system of medicine. One important aspect which I feel small shifts are happening, but not enough to make a difference for the common people. One simple thing is, allopathic system is right now symptomatic in its treatment. You have a temperature, we know how to cool you down. You have pain, we know how to take away the pain. We don't have the thing of looking where is the source for this. This is costing a certain amount of illness. One important thing is, somebody that you don't like is driving in front of you and they put on their indicator, they're turning right. You take out… I'm from Tennessee. So you take out your revolver and shoot the indicator out. and now I think he's going straight. No, he's turning right. His indicator is out, so now I think he's going straight, but he's turning right, so there's going to be some issue. So this is the approach, we are treating the symptoms. I think from symptomatic treatment to a more cause-oriented treatment if we can shift, which may be difficult because medical industry and pharmaceutical industry have… you can't separate them. Because when you say medicine, it means that, all right? We are not saying health. We are not saying health, only these days people are trying to say healthcare because that is all the stuff that comes with it. But this is essentially medicine. This form or this way of looking at health systems in the world happened because when this system started evolving, the biggest threat was infectious ailments, diseases. There was plague, there was malaria, there was smallpox and this and that. So mainly allopathic system came up to combat them because they would wipe out the whole populations at one time. So in that context, they did the right thing. Even today, whatever people may say, I will 100% vouch, if you have anything infectious, you just treat yourself with modern medicine because that's a chemical warfare, not all good for you, but if you want to be well tomorrow, that's a way to deal with it. But seeking health through medicine is a very… not a go for me, not a go for anybody actually, because you will pay a price for that. Because all chemicals are trying to remove something. But there is no chemical, if I have pain here, there is no painkiller will go just here, it'll go on to kill everything. Pain is a very important part of our survival process. Most people don't have enough sense in the world that if they didn't have pain, they would cut themselves into pieces. Hello? Have you not seen all the new fashions, have you? They're piercing themselves here, there, everything, there's so much pain. If there was no pain, they would have pulled out their intestines and walked on the street using the stomach bag as a handbag. It's the pain which is limiting the fashion. And it is pain, if a bicycle comes, people step back, not out of humility. The consequence of pain. If the consequence of pain is removed, even if a truck comes, people will go like this. So they wouldn't even survive. So pain is a good thing. So don't kill the pain. What is the source of the pain? Must be seen. Why the indicator of pain is coming up, this must be looked at. Like this, I'm not trying to, like simplify the whole medical system, which is a complex process. So where one thing ends, it's not this versus that. Where one thing ends and the other thing begins. Our health should begin at home, our food, how we breathe, how we sit, how we stand. When something goes wrong, a doctor should come. You must not have a doctor attending you right from your childhood to your grave. This is not the way it is, you don't need that.
But it is the way that we…
It is the way it is, because once you create an industry, you need clients. Country, in some parts, it's bad. The problem is this, that if a certain state gains a certain affluence, they think they must poison themselves. But that is a much larger problem, sir. Insecticide, fertilizer is a larger problem. About California's food and quality, many studies are there to show various aspects which are not very encouraging. One simple thing to say is, suppose you ate a California orange in 1920s, what micronutrients you got from that? Today if you eat the same thing, you will have to eat 8 oranges to get the same thing. That is the level of reduction that's happened, because there are no micronutrients in the soil. We are artificially blowing them up like that. Something is coming out, but what is needed is not there. I think all of you have done this, many other scientists are working on this, that lack of micronutrients and psychological imbalances and lack of mental faculties developing are very, very directly connected, there's no other way. Because I don't look at it this way, all I see is this body is soil. If soil is not rich, this body is not going to be rich. If soil is not rich, food will not be rich. Rich food does not mean dripping with fat or something. These are wrong terms we're using. Instead of calling it lousy food, we're calling it rich food. Alright, if it's full of fat, it's lousy food, but we call it rich food. Rich means it's rich in all the things that are needed to sustain this life. If there is no rich soil, there is no rich food. If there is no rich food, there is no healthy and rich body. I would use the word rich body, not just healthy, because being just healthy, not going to the doctor, no need to go to the doctor is not good enough. This must function at its fullest possibility, the little time that we have as human life. If we don't fire full on, then what? So, if this needs to happen, so many things have to change which we cannot change, but at least if the doctor community gets educated in a certain way and they little move away from treating everything chemically, it would make a lot of difference. I'll just tell you a simple example because you were saying California. I was in California in somewhere little south of San Francisco. It's a well-to-do home and this lady goes into the bathroom and she comes out, she doubles down and rolls on the floor and starts crying loudly, "Please call ER, please call ER." I said, "What happened?" She went to relieve herself and suddenly she found extreme pain in her lower belly and she couldn't get the urine out and she's crying and yelling. I said, "Where is the pain?" She told me, "It's just below the navel, she can't bear it." I said, just on the floor like this on the carpet." I said, "Just lie here." Normally in summers when I travel, we carry a tiny little bottle of castor oil with us. Because when we're traveling too much dust and if you feel heat in the nostrils, we'll take a drop and put castor oil, it just cools the whole system. I said, "You just lie down here." And I put a few drops in her navel and just lie 6-7 minutes. If it still doesn't work, we'll call the ER. Oh, she's crying. And she goes, "Oh, what did you do to me?" Yeah, it's just gone. This is a simple thing, just everybody in Asia knows. Why knowledge travels so slowly to United States?
It doesn't make money, I mean,
That's the one. I should have said, this is a special oil I got from heaven and charged $1 million, then I think it would have worked.
Yeah, let me come back to this, what you said about the micronutrients and how important that is. Our dietitians, everything focuses on the macronutrients, how important, how much protein, endless discussions in social media, how much protein and, should it be a keto diet or should it be a carbohydrate-rich diet? I mean, the thing that people don't talk about are these phytonutrients, these substances that plants produce. So my favorite example are these so-called polyphenols or antioxidants. Every plant produces those. And they're enriched in the most valuable assets that the plant has, the fruits and the seeds and certain ingredient in the leaves. And it's the plant's medicine. So during a drought, the production of these polyphenols increases. If the plant is infected by some parasite or some insect, production goes up. And the microbes in the soil play a big role in regulating this production. So when the plant suffers, parts of the plant, it sends down these distress signals into the root system. The roots produce these sugar-like molecules that attract the soil microbes, and the soil microbes stimulate the roots of the plant, produce more of these polyphenols. So it's this beautiful system.
So if you can explain what's a polyphenol?
So phenols are molecular structures and polyphenols are multiple of these rings put together. So it becomes a very large molecule and it's too large to be absorbed by our gut. There was a big enthusiasm about these molecules and whole industry started, and then they realized when they gave these to humans in human studies, there was almost no blood level detectable of these compounds. It's because, they can't be absorbed. Whatever was tested before was done in isolated cell cultures. But But the microbes play a major role in this. So the microbes stimulate the production in the plants, but they also play a major role when we eat those plants with these compounds to unpackage them. It's almost like, without the microbes, there will not be a release of the health benefit of these compounds. But they also become a major medicine for our brain health and our cardiovascular health, and so this science is really just starting. But this is a good example of how nature, you mentioned this earlier, has used principles that work in different systems. So they work in the plants. It's the self-produced medicine of the plants that keeps them healthy. If we destroy the microbes, the plants no longer produce those and then become susceptible to the pests. So we need insecticides, we need all these chemicals to keep the plants alive because they no longer produce their own. And in some ways we're doing the same thing, with our system. So we consume unhealthy things, toxins, but also unhealthy food. And it moves the body's own ability to keep us healthy. And then we throw in the chemicals in terms of the pharmaceuticals for these chronic diseases. So I find it fascinating that the same concept applies, to the soil, to the plant, and to humans. And the microbes are a very good translator of that story. I think the most remarkable thing that I've learned from microbiome science are those examples where we see what are health-promoting mechanisms in different kinds of life, soil life, plant life, and gut health, brain health. That to me is really remarkable. So why not sort of follow that story from the beginning, from what we do to our plants and how we grow the plants. What you said about California, those oranges now don't have the polyphenols anymore because they're grown in a soil devoid of the microbes that stimulate the production. But they're grown with a lot of chemicals sprayed on them to keep them from going bad and being infested by insects. And
this has been a traditional knowledge, but today modern scientists are also confirming this in a certain way. Among the plants, for example, in a forest, I always wondered, because I've spent so much time in the southern Indian jungles, I always wondered why the elephants are eating in such a rush. They eat in such a rush, they rip down the tree. They can eat slowly, there's no competition for them. Other animals graze the ground, these guys can eat anywhere, but still they rip it and eat it. Then it was one of the tribals who told me, but he couldn't articulate it as such. He said something like, the plants won't like him, so he has to go somewhere, something like that. But, he was saying that some spirits in the plants will come out in the trees and affect the elephants, so he has to eat in a rush and go. But now there is a science that if a certain species of trees are here, let's say next 10 miles there are certain types of trees, if the elephant starts eating this particular group of elephants, a herd of elephants come and start eating in this region, within about 7 to 12 minutes, all those species, their leaves will turn bitter. So they'll eat in such a rush and then they won't eat the next tree, they'll just walk away. They'll go a kilometer away or a mile away and then again eat. So the plants are doing this. So as per this, like I know this in my grandfather's place, they would always say that you must have small animals moving around in the fruit gardens and everything. Like rabbits, pet rabbits, sheep are always left there. They say when the small animals move, the plants will yield more sweetness to you. Because the plant realizes these animals cannot attack them, but they will manure them. So they will produce more sweetness. So always in a garden you leave small animals which doesn't threaten the plant, you will get the best out of that plant. This is the wisdom. So what I perceive is, science is little bit putting its tentacles or its, what do you call this, the cockroach things? Antenna.
Antenna.
You're putting your antenna into Vijnanamaya kosha. but not able to enter. The fifth layer of the body, we call it as bliss body, not because there's a bubble of bliss inside, simply because we do not know what is its nature. Because it's not physical at all, we cannot define by any word or describe it by any description. So we say bliss body because this is child's language. It is like your child sees a speaker, let's say, a speaker like this, and you say boom, boom. So in that language we are talking. When we touch it, our experience becomes so blissful. So we are saying this is bliss body. We are not saying that is the nature of that. We are saying when we touch it, we eat something and we say it's sweet. Because sweet is our experience. That is not the nature of what it is. This is our experience, so we call it bliss body. Right now, please, I am not trying to be countering something, I am just trying to define my understanding of this. From what you are saying, I see that you are nibbling at Vijnanamaya Kosha. But to cross it, if you don't come out of the other day I called it a dungeon, today I will remain into foundation. The foundations of logic you must cross, because logic can function only with two, this and that. Without that, you cannot. Now, these two things have gone till here, it needs to become like this. So somebody married time and space, that needs to happen within us. This marriage of time and space or merger of time and space can only happen if you transcend your physical nature. Otherwise, it will not go there.
I entirely accept that one reaches a point beyond logic, beyond mathematics. But nevertheless, I would argue that you can extend the logic and the mathematics beyond the physical domain, because I was making a distinction between physical time and another level of time which is not physical but nevertheless subject to logic and subject to mathematics. So I think what I'm saying is that there's an intermediate regime between the material domain, which most physicists think about, and that domain which goes beyond logic and mathematics altogether. So I think what I'm talking about, what I'm nibbling at, if you like, is that intermediate domain. So I don't think that's in contradiction with what you're saying, but I mean, I was talking before about how your experience of the specious present can change, but that was all in the circumstances where the specious present was presumably related to what was going on in the physical body. But the point I wanted to make was that you may have a psychic or a mystical experience where your experience of time is very different indeed. So, for example, you might have a near-death experience in which your whole life is seen in an instant, okay, rather than just as a… So your 100 years is just seen in one moment, because in some sense your specious presence in that state of mind has expanded to be a whole life. And my understanding is, from the literature, not from experience, is that in various mystical states, it's like you can be expanding, changing your specious present, like a dial on a radio, so that you experience the world at a different level of consciousness, and that different level of consciousness corresponding to a different species present. And so, I mean, the point I was going to make was that it's very arrogant to assume that the only level of consciousness in the universe is the human being. I don't myself see why there shouldn't be a hierarchy of level of consciousness on timescales much larger and much smaller than the human being. I don't see why, for example, why there shouldn't be a planetary level of consciousness with a much longer species present, maybe a day. Why there shouldn't be a solar level of consciousness, which might be 100 years. Why there couldn't be a galactic level of consciousness, and why there couldn't be a cosmic level of consciousness. So I would say within this perspective, This is why I'm putting the emphasis on specious present. I don't see why there cannot be a hierarchy of levels of consciousness associated with different, if you like, forms of embodiment, but also…
If I can ask
Yes,
a question.
yes.
Because you are using the term, what this mind, time related to the mind, right?
Yeah, yes,
What
I'm
are the-
now
what
talking
are the
about
wo-
time related to mind rather than to physics.
I'm saying the time, we experience time only because of our relationship with our body, not with our mind. In our mind, we can make 1 hour into 10 hours, 10 hours into 1 hour. We can, because on a certain given day, if you're very joyful, the day passes like 10 minutes. If you are depressed, the day passes like a eon. So this is a mental thing. Mind, how we see mind is, there is something called as Sat Chit Ananda, you have heard that, right? Have you? Sat Chit Ananda.
No, I don't know the terminology, I think I know the concept.
Sat means truth or reality, Chit means, we are referring to Chit as mind, Ananda means blissfulness. So Sat is reality which is there. But we can only look at the reality through the lie of our mind. Sat is half there, half not there. It's a half a reality. It's… part of it is true, part of it is not true. Chit is a complete lie. You can make anything out of it. You can look at this and see a dinosaur there, genuinely. People do that.
So we see a…
You can see a dinosaur or an elephant standing there right now, though it is not there.
Right, a
Yeah.
dinosaur.
You can see an elephant standing there, though it is not there. You can look at this person and think, oh, she's evil. You can look at that person and think, oh, she's beautiful. You can look at that person and think something else. This is all lies made up in our mind. We can make up whatever we want. This is the beautiful thing about our mind. We can even make an absolute lie into reality, a total lie, something that never existed. We can make it into a reality of our own. This is a phenomena that we have a kaleidoscope, we can make whatever, with little information we can make so many things out of it, but that's not an instrument to explore. Kaleidoscope you can enjoy, but you cannot make that into an instrument of exploration. Body is more reliable. Body never lies to you. Hello?
But there are different levels of body, I mean…
Yes.
From what you were saying,
Yes.
physical body, mental body, I mean…
Yes,
whichever
I'm right now
terminology.
saying the physical body never lies. It's telling you the truth, isn't it? You want us to stop? Mental body, physical body, I'm asking. So I'm saying when you get hungry, you get hungry. But mind can tell you, no, you're not hungry. Mind can tell you when you don't need food, mind can tell you, you need to eat. But body tells you truth about everything. When it's cold, when it's hot, everything is the way it is. But mind can make it whichever way you want. What is pleasant for one person is unpleasant for somebody, what is unpleasant is pleasant, because mind makes up all these things. This is the mind as we see it right now. We're just essentially talking about one aspect, which is the intellect, which is what today in modern societies we have strived to develop, because it produces results for us. In daily life, it improves our life in so many ways. What does improvement in life mean? Essentially it means we get to handle our survival process more and more efficiently. That's all improvement is. This is why, though compared to how, let's say how our grandparents lived and how we are living today, probably every one of us have 10 to 20 times more than what they had, we are not any more joyful or any more liberated than them, though people claim. It is not. When you look at the people on the street, their faces, they're driving their dream cars, when you look at their faces, you know they are no better. People who walked or bicycled were also like that in the past. I am not saying we are more miserable, but we cannot claim because of these comforts we have become more joyful. We become more comfortable, more convenient life, more possibilities in the physical world, all that accepted. But this doesn't change the experience because it's the mind which can create whatever you want. Some people who manage their mind well, they see a good picture on their kaleidoscope. Some people who don't know how to manage that, they see a bad picture all the time. But that's got nothing to do with the reality. So when we are using an instrument like this to explore the fundamental reality of our existence, it'll give us a bad picture. Telescope is a good thing, kaleidoscope, no.
So that's, can I ask you a question? Because you're talking about, you see the dinosaur or the elephant.
I didn't, I'm just…
That was your example, but would you regard our theories of, from physics, our theories of the world as being like the dinosaur and the elephant?
No, I'm not saying that. See, the theories of the world, I'm not saying they're all wrong. That's why I said they're pointing in the right direction. But even if you point in the right direction, let's say right now our vision, like some other, like a fly or a grasshopper or a mosquito, is only 10 feet. Let's say both of us can see only 10 feet. We can think, okay, if these 2 rows of people are sitting there, maybe 20 rows are there, maybe there are more people, and we start looking. But still our eyesight improves, we're not going to see them.
Right, but
So it's extremely important now. In my perception, science has never pointed in the right direction. In the last 25, 30 years, they're beginning to point in the right direction. When they're pointing in the right direction, developing instruments to see further is very vital now for emancipation of humanity from being stuck in their own cycles.
But you see, when you're talking about eyes, there are the physical eyes, but what interests me is that, for example, if one has an out-of-the-body experience, one floats around, one sees things, but one's not actually seeing anything through one's physical eyes, so it's as though there's a different level of body embodiment, a different level of eye, a different sort of light with which one is exploring the world. So are you making this remark just in the context of physical…
In every context I'm saying, suppose it's true that somebody slipped out of their body and floated around. I can show you some examples which are stark, unbelievably stark, which will be shocking for most people. Leaving that, let's say somebody here slipped out, this is a good candidate.
Yeah.
She slipped out of her body and went around. But to see physical light, you need these eyes. I can't see physical light with my hands. You need these 2 eyes to see physical light. Because this whole problem of light, this has come because what is metaphorical is being taken literally by a whole lot of people. I think it's Patanjali who made the mistake, maybe even before him somebody must have, where he said, if you bring yourself, distance yourself from your psychological and physiological process, a new light will arise within you. When he says light, he's not talking about this physical light which is traveling at 186,000 miles per second. He's talking about a new clarity has come. You see things totally differently because things are crystal clear to you. But to see this light, you need these 2. Without these 2, you don't see this light.
Right, but this lady, she is…
Not this one, that
she
one.
Is using…
that
oh,
one.
sorry, I got the wrong lady. But is it true to say she is using a different sort of eyes and a different sort of light?
We cannot call it eyes, because when somebody is beyond the body, they're not seeing a damn thing. But that does not mean there is no experience. Experience is coming because of inclinations, inherent inclinations which we call as karmic vasanas. That means because you have a certain volume of information, even in your subtlest form, you have a certain volume of information. Information, if there is no intent, it creates an inclination. Suppose you sit here, you have no intent as to what you should do right now. Now you go by your inclinations. some people will pluck the flower like this, some people will drink something, some people will smoke something, some people will simply sit here and dream something. This is an inclination. If you don't have an intent, naturally your memory creates an inclination. We call this inclination as vasana. Vasana literally means smell. Why we calling it vasana is because in the animal world, it is the smell which plays a big role. Even in human life, smell plays a massive role, but people are not noticing it simply because of their cerebral activity. A whole lot of research has gone into it now, various types of research. People are saying, these scientists saying, okay, they are saying you might have chosen a husband or a wife or a partner in your life because of an unconscious sense of smell you have about that person. Smelly people,
I'm interested in the phenomena of levitation, for example. And there's the famous case of Saint Teresa of Avila who would levitate. Now, that in itself would not be a mystical experience because a psychical researcher would say, oh, she's levitating, we must measure how high she goes and how far she moves. And so I accept that is not a mystical phenomenon itself. But Saint Teresa herself was having a mystical experience. So for her, she was in an ecstatic state. So there was a link between
why
mystical
is being
and
ecstatic
psychic.
mystical? Why is being ecstatic mystical?
Well, I have no experience of mystical experience myself.
So let me come to that.
Yeah.
See, right now, recently some journalist is asking me, Sadhguru, if there's one achievement in your life, what is it? I said, tears. So what do you mean by tears? I said, every day, millions of people, if they close their eyes, tears of ecstasy are washing their cheeks. This is the only achievement I have, rest is all circus. Rest is circus only in the world. You have to do circus to get people attracted to that process. So, being ecstatic happens if you stop creating unpleasantness within you. When I say unpleasantness, you sit here and think, oh, what is she doing? She's writing down, what's she doing? Will she get it right? I don't think she'll get it right. This is a genuine opinion. Does she understand what I'm talking? Is he okay? Is that this? I'm saying these 1,000 things are there. It's not even conscious. These things are multiplying into millions as you grow up. Now, all this muck which you think is your thought process and your emotions and your opinions, especially you're in a university full of opinions, okay? If with all these opinions, you can't see nothing clearly. To just keep down all the opinions that you have, it takes a lot of work. People are around me for 20, 30 years, same people. I don't have a single opinion about them. Only when it comes to work, I have to do something with them, then I have an opinion whether they can do this or not do this. But when I just look at them, I just look at them as they are now. I don't care how they were 10 years ago. I don't care how they were yesterday. When I look at them now, I see them as they are, because this is very important for what I do. Otherwise, oh, this one is possible, this is an enlightenment candidate, this is no good, that is a good one, this has good genetics, that has bad genetics, this is all rubbish. It's got nothing to do. All these things have got something to do with their bodies and minds. I have no business with their body or their mind, for that matter. So they may think loving their guru is a great thing. I think nothing about it, because love is a simple emotion. Even a dog can do it very well, better than you. Hello? We are making a big deal out of it and exporting it to heaven and saying God is love. This is because people have grown up bereft of love. I'll tell you a sample, can I tell you a little situation? I was to speak in Tel Aviv, unfortunately there is a situation there, a few years ago, and I'm flying out of Atlanta. I'm to land there around 11:30 in the morning and speak at 6:30 in the evening. But some delays in the flights and I end up landing there at 6 o'clock in the evening. In these 40 years, I have not been late to a single event, so I don't want to, it's a commitment that I have that I don't go late. So I quickly change in the airport and rushing to the event, and I'm famished because I'm flying an American airline. There's nothing edible. There's nothing edible on that plane.
No, peanuts.
No, not even that. They throw some dog parts at you. Whatever, nothing edible for me. So, whatever these groundnuts, they give you only in the domestic. In the international, it's only dog part in some bread and something. It's just not for me. So I'm super hungry, but I have to be there on time, I rush. And then I find, to my amazement, it never happens to me, I'm speaking at a fine restaurant. This is coherence. Then I walk in and people are already there, they're greeting me. One man comes up and says, "Shalom." I ask him, "What does it mean?" He says, "This is the highest way of greeting." I said, "It's all right, that's your opinion, but what does it mean?" He says, No, this is the highest way of greeting." I said, "All right, what does the word mean?" Then he says, "It means peace." I said, "Why is peace the highest way of greeting unless you're born in Middle East? In South India, somebody comes up to me in the morning and says, 'Peace.'
Yeah.
I say, "What's wrong with you?" So I'm saying, anything that you deprive yourself of slowly rises to heaven. You've not seen peace in your life, peace becomes God. You've not seen love in your life, love becomes God. You've not seen blissfulness in your life, bliss becomes God. No, these are all simple human emotions. So if Saint Teresa, if she walked around blissfully, I'm glad for her. Today I can show you, if not millions, at least hundreds and thousands of people who are blissed out, at least for parts of the day. I'm blissed out all the time.
Yeah, but
So, for me, to simply close my eyes and come to tears is just 2 moments, I'll be there. There are many people like that here and everywhere. So it's wonderful if that woman walked like that, it's a fantastic thing, because that's how a human being should be. You shouldn't make a saint out of her. She is a wonderful human being. And every human being should be that way. They must walk the streets like this. When they see the flowers in the tree, tears must come. When they see the clouds, tears must come. When they see a child, tears must come. When they close their eyes, tears must come. Tears of love and ecstasy, not tears of misery and pain. So, right now it becomes such a rarity in a given society. Now you suddenly think she's got God going in her. No, she doesn't need God. Human beings are capable of experiencing these things. I'm saying these are all experiences that human beings have. Almost every human being at some point, in a moment of love or joy or something, tears have come to them. It's just that it's not common. If she made it a part of her life, fantastic. But in Eastern societies, there are any number of saints like that who always lived like that. I'm not trying to bring her down. All I'm saying is…
when you say bring it down, you mean from the levitation or from the…
levitation I am not talking about it.
Yep.
I'll leave that, because that's a question of breathing in hydrogen, not oxygen. I'm saying I don't want to bring her down. My work is to raise the humanity, not bring down somebody from the heaven. So unfortunately, in those societies, because everybody else is in such a mess, if one human being rises, you think she fell from the top. No, she rose, wonderful for her.
Well, they did make… yeah,
But I'm saying there's nothing mystical about that.
I mean, that's a question
We can
of
say
what…
that is clearly a spiritual experience, let's say.
Oh, spiritual is fine, I mean,
Yes.
the label…
No, because we are trying to draw some distinctions between psychic, spiritual and mystical. So her experience, we can put it clearly in the category of a spiritual experience.
That is fine, because that's a question of semantics and…
No, these are not semantics, these are clear distinctions in experience. See, when you look at it from outside intellectually, it amounts to semantics. In terms of experience, What happens in my body is physical, what happens in my mind is mental, what happens in my emotions is emotional, what happens in my spirit is spiritual, is distinctly there, nobody can question that. Because somebody is questioning it from outside, because they can't see it. If somebody is shedding tears out of love, we can sit here and think, oh, maybe some pain. This is our conclusion. But they may be blissed out with love and tears may be coming out, possible? So, semantic issue comes because we are outside observers to human subjectivity. That'll never work.
Whether she was having a spiritual or a mystical experience, I bow to your knowledge because
No,
I've
I am
never
not
spoken to
saying
her,
she
but-
did not have a mystical experience. Because people observed that she is in tears of ecstasy, that is a spiritual experience. She might have had mystical experiences, which she cannot show to people. How will she show?
But the question I was going to ask was, I was interested in the status of psychic phenomena, because why I'm interested in psychical phenomena is because I see them as making a link between matter and spirituality, between science and spirituality, because in
No, sir,
psychical research…
Can I do this? Because this is there, in between.
Yes.
They have broke it for some reason. They didn't want the tail and the head to come together, whoever made it. Anyway, see, psychic phenomena is extension of the mind.
Yes.
We can extend our body if we want. Right now we can do a simple experiment, sir, shall we do?
By all means, yeah.
Please sit little spine erect. What we will do is put our hands together like this and we will vigorously rub these two hands together with eyes closed for let's say 30 to 30 seconds, all right?
Okay.
Like this. Thirty seconds is a long time.
Well, my species presence is changing, yeah.
Now, keeping your eyes closed, just separate them by 3 to 4 inches. Okay?
Yep.
Something happening between your two hands, something little bit,
Yes.
whatever
Feel-
that is.
Feel the
Let's not try to define it, describe it, it's an extension of the body. You can extend the body like this. Right now, you have heard of phantom legs and things, somebody loses a leg or a
Yes.
hand. Even though the physical leg is gone, they're still experiencing it because in extended body.
Yeah.
As there is a physical body, there's an energetic body which can stay intact if the loss of body is very sudden like that. There are tantrics, we should not go here, I'm entering dangerous territory in a university. Why should I commit suicide like this? Let me leave the tantrics alone. So, there are people who can leave their body here and go and do something and again come back. It's called parakaya pravesha. That means you enter something else. This is extension of the body, which is psychic. Extension of the body and mind to do something is a psychic process. What you're talking about, Saint Teresa, that is a spiritual experience, what we people are seeing. Whether she is having a mystical experience or not, nobody will know. She might have, she might not have. But she is definitely, if she is all blissed out, she is having a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to define that.
But what the point I'm making is that from the point of view of extending science, these phenomena are interesting because that you can study these phenomena using the sort of techniques that a scientist would use. You can test for telepathy in a laboratory, you can test for psychokinesis, whether you can affect…
Because it's all psychic phenomena, telepathy, telekinesis, whatever other things that people are talking about, this is all psychic phenomena which I am personally not interested in because that will not in any way rise a human being beyond their limitations.
Exactly.
It will only make them little more competent. It's like if I'm using a bad example again, if I have to kill somebody, I must go there and do something to them. But if I have a gun from here, I can shoot them. This is psychic phenomenon. From here, I can do things. I don't have to go there and do things. So a gun is more efficient than a knife. In UK, still they use knives, that's why I'm saying.
There are a few guns, but mainly knives, yes.
So I'm saying, psychic phenomena is like this, you're extending your psychological and physical forces to do certain things and come back. But this will only at the most give you a little advantage in the world. You will not rise anywhere.
I accept that, but the reason I'm emphasizing that is because in the attempt to expand science
Yes.
to accommodate
That's
these
my
phenomena,
interest.
this is… and it's nothing to do with helping somebody become enlightened, but nevertheless I'm saying it's helpful, it's of interest to me,
Yes.
because that's how I can expand science to accommodate these phenomena. It's, if you like, it's part of the way of going towards it, unifying science and spirituality. So even though you say it's not of interest…
I'm saying you don't have to accommodate this. Let's dismiss all the things that I'm saying. Right now, in my opinion, science is looking in the right direction. They have to extend their look. I'm asking, can you build a telescope which will see something which is not physical in nature? That's what you need to do.
The answer is not with a physical…
With mathematics, I'll come to that. So, because we are talking about time, which I see as the most basic entity, from infinite to zero is manifestation of time. So it's an infinite space because it's a mix of time and space. It's always been like that. Time is the fundamental firmament, space is happening on top of it. Now, beyond this time, which we refer to as a cyclical process, because time as we know it, as we experience it right now, exists only because of cyclical movement. Planet turns a day, moon goes around a month, planet goes around the sun a year. This is our experience of time, and similar cycles are happening in our own bodies and various phenomena in the world. But a time which is not cyclical, which is just a stillness, we call this Mahakala, that means the greater time. There is a particular deity enshrined in central India which used to be the center of time for many millennia before the British came to India and they shifted it to Greenwich Mean Time. This was the mean time in the world. Because the maritime travelers from Asia, because that's where it started, this was considered the line of time. This is where the time started. So there they established a particular deity which is called Mahakala. So, well, let me not go into those things, but essentially things were done so that people can experience something beyond the limitations of their body. Because if you do not cross the limitations of your body, you will not cross the cycles of time in any way. Do what you want. As long as this body is there, you are within the manifestation of the cycle of time. So right now, you're looking the right way. If you can only build a telescope somehow, or the telescope need not necessarily be a physical pipe, if even all these numbers can go there and read something or see something which is non-physical in nature, absolutely non-physical in nature, then science will see what is there. Otherwise, we're looking in the direction, but no eyes.
In a recent interview, Sadhguru answered a question about past life. The questioner wants to know, Sadhguru, are there people here with you now that are connected to you in your past life? Sadhguru says, yes, many people who are connected to me in some way over 370 years ago, not only those who supported us, but even those who persecuted us, who tormented us, are somehow mostly in Coimbatore today. All of them are not our meditators. but they are with us. It is like that. That is the way life functions. Why all these people land up in one place is, why is the breeze blowing in this direction and not in the other way? Do you know why? See, the whole momentum of the wind in the world is just this. The sea is a place where the humidity is high, so the pressure and the density are also high. When the land gets heated, the density is low. Wherever the density is low, there the wind rushes. Then it rains, and then that becomes high density. Then the wind moves backward. As the wind movement is always towards low density, whenever there is emptiness, everything rushes there. So when the karmic bag is empty, here pointing to himself, all those other bags of karma which have been one way or other connected to that for so many lifetimes tends to slowly move towards that direction, knowingly or unknowingly, mostly unknowingly. They slowly move in that direction because for all of them there is possibility now. When one bag empties, everybody has the opportunity to become empty. Sometimes it also happens that a nearly empty bags come in search of past karmic connection to empty itself. That could be an opportunity for both beings to dissolve that aspect of the karma. But if one is not alert to their inner situation, this opportunity could be completely missed. Whenever the past karma, it is like this. Let us say until the age of 30 you earn 10 million rupees. Now you can either squander it or make it grow. In the past you might have created some riches within you. In this life you may either add to it or squander it, but definitely some quality of that will be there in your life. Though in unconsciousness it may go to waste. So because of the spiritual practices, sadhana, those riches may manifest now in terms of material comfort like a good house, the right kind of atmosphere, or maybe good people around you. In spite of all this, you may not make use of it and just become complacent. That is the whole cycle. Why I repeatedly say that the whole game is like the snake and the ladder game is, you climb the ladder and there you are happy. The very comfort that comes out of it, that comes out of the good karma, make you complacent, and that is it. Down through the snake you go, then once suffering comes, you start looking and grow. You may squander it and go down again. This is the way of fool, wasting his energy, but someone who has sufficient intelligence in him should even take each breath as a step towards growth. It is very much possible, like how she shared the reminder comes even after remaining a person hundreds of times. If he still does not wake up, if he is still lying down in his comforts, what can we do? He will be lost. He has to suffer once again and then maybe seek growth. This whole spiritual process is not about happening to even 1% of the population. For all others, when things are going well, they are laughing, and when things go bad, they are crying. There are very few people in the world who, whichever way it is, are okay and balanced. For them, nothing is great benediction, nothing is a problem. Everything is just another life situation through which they can become free. The rest of the people are all the type who will go the way the situation pushes them. They are little cattle. You have evolved into a human body, but otherwise there is no real difference. Between the way animals live and generally the way people live, is there the great difference quantitatively? Maybe quantitatively there is lot of difference. There is much more variety to your activity. You drive a car, you watch television, all that nonsense you do, but qualitatively there is no difference. If the difference has to come, it can only come from awareness. There is no other way. This awareness need not be just dry. When it is filled with love, this awareness just multiplies. Generally, mental alertness is mistaken for awareness, but awareness is a far deeper dimension than just mental alertness. When awareness arises within you, love and compassion will be the natural follow-up. When you are very loving, you are very aware. Can you see that? Now, if you are not able to relate to things around you, to the people around you, it is not because there is something wrong with you. You are either a little misplaced or out of your own foolishness you got misplaced in this life. Once you become aware, you have to make the little arrangements that are needed to put yourself in the right place. If you know you are a coconut, then you should have fallen there at the foothills, not on the mountain top. It is of no use. You can't grow there. You have to roll down somehow. If you have to roll down, maybe you have to lose something. If the coconut has to reach the foothills, maybe a man has to pick it up and bring it down. Maybe he will peel it and take off the skin. You don't know what we will lose. Something will be lost. The man who carries it is bound to take off something. Life is like that. For whatever you do, you have to pay a price. Let me tell you a joke. A man sat in a train traveling from Bristol to London with a baby in his arms. Halfway through the trip, another man with two big suitcases got onto the train and sat down next to him. The first man asked, "Those two suitcases look just like mine. Are you a salesman too?" "No," the other man replied. "I am on the way to the airport. I am flying to Greece." Then he asked, "So what are you selling anyway?" "Condoms," the first man replied. Shocked, the other man said, "Condoms? And you are taking your son with you while you are sell the condoms?" "Oh, this is not my son. It is complaint from Bristol." Without a price, you get nothing. You better know this. Whether you pay the price here or there, you can't escape it. You always pay. That's the law of karma. There is a price for everything. What kind of physical situation you land up in have a very strong karmic basics. The very fact that you are here today proves that your physical situation has been conducive enough to allow you to be here. There are many who desires to be here, but for those reasons it is not happen for them. They are yet to earn it. Exported from mystic musings.